Good day. Have you ever noticed when you start something new, you're excited, you want to go for it, but then you hit this wall and your confidence actually drops? So you want to do something. Maybe it's getting in shape, maybe it's learning a new skill like AI, whatever it is. You're excited about it, but you do it and then you actually go down and you feel less confident, less certain. You don't feel quite as good about yourself. Now, the reason that is you are aware of things and now you realize, oh, there's a whole bunch here I didn't know, and I'm kind of feeling this feeling of falling behind is what's going on. So today I'm going to show you how progress actually feels like regression. It feels like you're going backwards, but that's just a phase or a stage. And if you can get past that, then you can get all the growth, the progress that you want, but you got to get past this messy part that doesn't feel so good. Because what you have to realize is this is a signal, it's not a setback. And for most of us, when we have that happen, it just rattles our cage so bad that we just want to stop. We're like, this isn't working. I don't like this. This isn't what I thought it'd be. And I want to show you something that I think will really help you understand this. If you look at this diagram here, in the very middle, you see a black dot, okay? That is like what you first know. That's your initial knowledge. Some of us, we stay in that spot for quite a while, but that's what you know initially. That's where you're at. And over time, if you're growing and developing, you're going to go to those next rings. So if you go to the black ring and then you go to the green one, okay, you've expanded what you know a lot more. But if you were to look at the edge of the black dot and just go on the perimeter of the black dot, you're going to think, okay, there's not a lot about this I need to know, right? You're going to feel like I pretty much got this down. But if you see that as you go to the green one, the perimeter on that one's a lot bigger. So you're going to say, wow, there's a lot more here going on than I even realized. And you're going to feel less confident, less certain, because before you thought, oh, this was all there was to it. And you get into it and you're like, whoa, there's a lot more. You go to the red or the maroon ring as you're expanding, you're going to realize like, man, there's even more out here I didn't know. You're going to feel less uncertain. And the purple one, the same thing. The yellow, the same thing as you expand. Now, not everyone goes out and expands all this stuff, but if you get out to the blue one out there, you're going to know a lot more than other people. But because you have such a large perimeter, such a large area that you are touching and bumping into, you're going to actually feel less certain because you realize, well, there's a lot more to this than what maybe other people with less knowledge know. Okay. So if you look at the left here, this thing, it says, as your knowledge grows, your awareness of what you don't know grows even faster. So it can feel like you're doing worse, even though you're expanding. So at the bottom down here, it's got growth leads to expanded awareness. And then that leads to a temporary self-doubt. You actually feel worse as you're growing because now there's like all this other stuff that you didn't even realize was part of the picture. You were like, wow, I didn't know that there was all this stuff to know. And that's one of the things I find amazing is we have to get past that. We have to realize, like, as you're trying to grow, as you're trying to expand, it doesn't matter if it's AI or learning how to garden or sew or whatever it is. Initially, you're going to feel like, oh, this is all sewing is, or, oh, this is all it is about gardening. And then you're going to realize, whoa, there's like beetles, there's bugs, there's fertilizer. And then as you grow further, you're going to realize, oh man, there's different soil compositions. There's different things, so as you just keep growing, you're going to see, wow, there's a lot of areas I need to grow within this. I have a lot of ignorance, and that feels uncomfortable. Most of us do not like to feel uncomfortable. So when we get that feeling of uncomfortable and that growing, we're like, well, we're going to shut this down. I'm not going there. Okay. And instead, what you need to do is lean into it, step into it, because That's the paradox of mastery. When you begin something new, you're going to just feel less confident. And you've got to be able to go past that messy feeling and know that, okay, this is a signal for me. This is showing me I'm growing, I'm getting better. And it's not a signal to stop. It's actually a signal I'm on the right path. If I feel this awkwardness, if I feel this uncomfortableness, that's a good thing, because what it's showing me is I've gone from a smaller circle to a bigger circle. And as I continue to go to bigger circles, I'm going to have those feelings. And if I stop, then I'm going to stop at that circle, and I'm not going to continue to grow. Now, most of us have something what they call the illusion of explanatory depth. Okay, so we think we basically understand something, and then we just kind of stop at that. Okay, like if I was to ask you, like, do you understand a zipper? You're gonna like, yeah, I get a zipper. I get it. Okay, but can you break that down and explain to me, why does a zipper work? How would you explain that? Would you take two combs and put them together? But then how do they stay together? What's keeping them locked? And when you start looking at this, you're gonna realize, well, there's a little more to zippers, even simple zippers, than what I first realized. Now, if I asked you, like, we've all used toilets, right? We use toilets every day. If I asked you to explain, how does a toilet work? Can you break that down? Could you install a toilet? Could you take a toilet out? Could you fix one if it's not working? Can you give a little 5-minute presentation on the process of how a toilet works? Now, see, what you're going to realize is, okay, I understand toilets, I understand zippers to a certain extent, but do I really know even more depth, like a plumber would, for example? And I could ask you more questions on this, like on Bluetooth. Do you know how Bluetooth works? Well, no, most of us don't know. We know it's hooking up devices, it's using signals to do that, but how does it do that? Most of us would fall short. But we have the illusion that we understand these things better than we do. Now, that's just the second phase here when you're going through this, when you realize, okay, there's so much more to this than what I think. And it's actually called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And that's why when you see someone who doesn't know very much, their knowledge is like that black dot. Okay, their knowledge is they're at the black dot of knowledge here. Okay, but they think they know it all. They feel very confident in what they know. They don't see the nuances. They don't see how it interrelates with other things. So they feel really confident, versus someone out here on the blue, they're like feeling less certain, less confident, because they're like, wow, there's all these other factors, all these other things that I'm not even always aware of, or at least now I'm becoming aware of them, but I haven't mastered them. So I just want you to be really clear on that. When you are going through and you're trying to make changes, you're trying to improve, you're trying to do something new, you're going to hit this feeling, and it's going to be like, it's going to want you to just stop, because you're going to be like, whoa, this feels so uncomfortable. Like for many people, they get that with AI. When we talk about, let's use AI, it's like, whoa. Oh, that's totally, I'm not into AI. I don't know how to do that. Or someone might say something else, relationships, health, money. I mean, you pick it, there's going to be something where people feel this resistance. And if they could just move past that, then they would go into growth. Okay. I'm going to play a segment from Alaric right here.
Here's something I've observed in thousands of people, especially those who care deeply about progress. The moment they begin to grow, they confuse clarity with certainty. But clarity often comes with uncertainty at first, because what's really happening is that your awareness is expanding faster than your confidence. And that's okay. Just like your pupils widen in the dark to let in more light, your discomfort is making room for more insight. Growth isn't about feeling better. It's about becoming better. And I promise, what feels like confusion right now is the first sign you're waking up.
All right, I want to show you this here, the 3 phases of growth. The first one is invisible. People don't see it. It's going on inside of you. Now, if you were to plant a seed in the ground, are you immediately going to see the results? No. But what's going on underground is those roots, the roots are growing, and they're growing actually in the opposite direction of what you're wanting, right? Like you want a tree, you want it to grow up into the sky, but what are the roots doing? They're going actually down into the ground. And you might think, what in the world? I'm not trying to go down, I want to go up. But that's part of the process. That's part of this feeling where I have to go through this. Like, yeah, it's going to feel like I'm going backwards. It feels like I'm going the wrong way. It feels confusing. But that's phase 1, and that's that invisible growth. And that is where it all starts. The next phase is phase 2, and that's the friction. So you're that seedling, you have put some roots in the ground. Now you're trying to push through the ground. You're trying to break through, and you do that. And now you're getting some visible. You're seeing like, whoa, there's the whole sky up here. There's the sun. But you feel really fragile and vulnerable in this stage because you haven't really got yourself established. It's something new. Then phase 3 is now you're reframing resistance. You're growing down and you're growing up. You're doing both of those simultaneously. And that when you go down in the roots here or internally when you're growing, that's the part that people don't see. It might not feel that good, but that's the part that you absolutely need. Like you cannot have a tree without roots, and you cannot have yourself if you're not willing to go down and build a foundation, work on yourself, figure out what is it that I need to do? What is it that's causing me to have setbacks or whatever? I mean, you got to go through that. Otherwise, you're just going to like cut the seedling off right off the bat. Okay. So I wanted to share that with you because this is such an important part of understanding how this all works. Now, if we go past that, we've gone through this, and most of us, if I would go back to that second phase there, when you're trying to break through the ground there and you're trying to break through, most of us, we have all kinds of resistance that's going to show up. For a plant, it's like the ground. If there was water and then the surface crusted, it's kind of a hard crust. It's got to break through that. Well, for you, you're going to have issues that are going to pop up, and it's going to feel like, man, I got to break through this. And like for one of them is like for me, I'm doing a live stream right now. And if nobody shows up, I'm going to be punching through there. I'm going to be like, whoa, where's everybody? I thought there's going to be a party. I thought there'd be, 100,000 people watching me right now. What is going on? And then it's that moment. That's when you would want to quit. You'd be like, oh, let's just shut this down. This isn't working. It's not happening. What's going on? And you're going to have all this resistance bubble up in you, say, oh, see, I knew this wouldn't work. Oh, I knew this would be so difficult. Now, you can do the same thing with money. Let's say you're like, oh, I want to get better with money, or I want to improve. I want to be financially free. Well, you're going to have to look at your relationship with money. Most people have a horrible relationship with money. If you just think about it, most people will say money's the root of all evil. Okay. If I was to say to you, whatever it is, basketball is the root of all evil, would I want to be hanging around and doing basketball? Or if I said growth is the root of all evil? So look at that with money. Is that something that you have this resistance pattern going through here? Do you think rich people are greedy? Do you think money doesn't grow on trees and it's hard to get? It's difficult. Maybe your parents fought about bills, and so you heard all this financial tension in the home, and it's got a lot of emotional charge and packed in on that. Okay, and maybe your self-worth is tied into money, and you're like, man, if I'm not making this amount of money, I'm just kind of a loser, or I'm not as good as I could be. There's all kinds of factors going into this. And another thing on money is, are you vague on what you want? Are you unclear? Does money create stress for you? Does it feel like a mystery to you? And some people feel like, well, if I had money, I just lose it. Okay. Or I'm not good with money or numbers or math. So there's a lot of us that have trauma around money. And that's why a lot of people like don't invest. They don't learn how to invest. They don't create their own 401k account, things like this. So I'm only sharing this to give you an example that this resistance is real. You're going to really feel it. And when you try to do something new, it's going to feel awkward. You're going to have all that resistance. But as you try to grow and expand outward, you just have to know that is part of the progress. That's part of what happens. Now, unfortunately, most people stop at the friction zone. They stop when, I have these issues pop up and I don't want to deal with them. And they feel like I'm not growing. This isn't working. But it's because it doesn't feel like it's not working. It doesn't mean it's not working, which is a huge distinction. If I start a new exercise program, I might actually feel worse in the beginning. I might be like, what am I doing? This isn't working. I'm not losing weight. I'm not getting better shape. But it is working. It's working on me. And then later I'm going to start seeing those results if I stay with it, if I get past that part of the dip. Now, you do not have to say like, okay, I'm going to stop at this resistance. What you have to realize is the resistance is real. It's going to be there, and I'm going to realize it, and I'm going to go through it. And the resistance actually, I'm going to reframe this and say, this is actually proof that I'm on the right direction. It's proof that I'm growing, because you're not going to have a lot of resistance if you're not growing, right? Like think of a dead seed or something, a rock. I mean, is it like fighting through and doing this? No, it's going to be something that's actually trying to grow, trying to make progress. So, see this resistance as your greatest teacher, not as a sign that I'm a loser or this isn't working or those types of situations. Okay, this next one here, I've used this graph in other things, but what I want to show you is that the confidence curve, when you start something new, you're going to feel really confident, okay? You're going to be excited. That's this yellow spot right here. You're going to feel really good. Wow, this is amazing. I'm going to feel great. This is going to be just the best ever, right? And then you hit this dip. And that's the red spot, right? You hit this dip and you're going to feel like this is where I need to stop. But it's actually a sign to keep going, because when you go in this valley, it's called, the desperation valley, different things it's been called, but it's the valley of despair, right? And when you hit that, that's actually the real game changer. That's actually the time when you need to double down and keep going. So many people will start something, they'll fall into the valley of despair, and instead of pushing through it, instead of going through there and getting into the green zone and all the growth and where you start going upward, they start something new. Think about in your own life. Hopefully this isn't you. Maybe it's someone though, where they start something, they do it for a while, they go to the valley of despair, and then they start back over in the yellow again, right? They started real estate, then they went to crypto, then they went to some other kind of thing, but they just kept cycling and they didn't actually stick with something and master it and get all the positive gains that they could have done if they really decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So you have a question here. You can decide, am I going to, expand my circle like I showed earlier? Am I going to bust through that resistance? Am I going to realize that growth has parts of it that quite honestly doesn't feel very good, and I'm not going to like, and I'm not going to enjoy it? But am I willing to go through that? Am I willing to understand that's just part of the process? So maybe it's starting out with new tools, AI tools, and you feel overwhelmed. Am I willing to stick through that, get past that uncomfortable part? Maybe you've committed to a new health habit, but it feels inconsistent or it doesn't feel natural to you yet. Are you willing to stick with it and get past that? Maybe you're speaking up at your work or in your relationships, and you're still doubting your voice a little bit. Are you willing to get past that part where it feels uncomfortable? Why am I speaking up? What do people think of me? Are you willing to work past that? Have you ever tried to heal some emotion, but you feel more raw, you feel more discombobulated than you did before? Just realize, okay, that is part of it. If I want to overcome this, if I want to heal, I'm going to have to go through some of this messiness. So it can be a whole bunch of things. It can be like, are you setting boundaries for yourself? Are you respecting yourself? But now maybe you're feeling guilty, like, oh man, I used to do all this, but now I'm not doing as much as I used to. Do you feel guilt? Or do you just be like, no, I set a boundary. I'm respecting myself. It doesn't feel natural yet. It doesn't feel, it feels awkward actually, but am I okay with that? Because growth and change and progress is not a steady climb, right? It's going to be, you go up, you go down a little bit. If you look at like the stock market, I mean, it's not just, you invest money and it goes straight up, you know what I mean? It goes up and down, but the general trend is upward. So just remember here, like a tree or a seed, it's that paradox. You have to go down before you go up, and don't mistake that discomfort for failure or that it's not working. It's actually a signal that it is working and that you are going to an outer ring and you're expanding. So I just want to show you this slide one last time, because I really want you to see that the most advanced people feel the most uncertainty because they're aware of the real landscape. They're aware of more of what's going on. So when you are expanding, just know that's going to be it. That's going to be part of the process. And I'm okay with that. Because if you're not okay with it, then you're going to stop yourself. You're going to be like, whoa, this is uncomfortable. I don't like this. I'm done. It's over. If you would like help on this, my free live webinar on Saturday will help you break through this barrier. And if you have resistance on AI, if you're like, I don't know enough about it, or I'm just unsure about it, I can help you do that, because you have resistance, but there's no reason to keep that resistance. You can learn about AI. You can learn how I can personalize it, how I can use it, how it's actually can be a tool that benefits me. Or you can be like, whoa. This isn't, my dad never used this. My grandparents never used this. I obviously, this is not something I need to do. I'm just going to put my head in the sand and hopefully this doesn't affect me. Okay. Hopefully that isn't how you feel. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciated everyone that's being here, anyone that has written comments. And if you do have anything that you want, just send me an email or write a comment, and I can include that in a future video. I appreciate you being here. All the best to you. Have a wonderful day.